The howling wind chased Dr. Juwon Kim through the blank whiteness of the Arctic Research Station. He stumbled forward, the cold biting through his layers of protective gear. His temporary igloo stood just 50 meters away, barely visible through the blizzard's fury. The research facility's main building had lost power 3 hours ago, and the backup generators had failed shortly after. The igloo was his only option now. Juwon had built it 2 days earlier as a precaution. The weather station had warned of the approaching storm, but nobody expected it would be this severe. His colleagues had evacuated yesterday when the first helicopter arrived, but Juwon had insisted on staying behind to secure vital research samples. Now, as the wind slashed at his face, he questioned that decision. He reached the igloo entrance and pushed inside, immediately sealing the opening with packed snow. The interior was cramped but functional, with a small propane heater, emergency supplies, and his sleeping bag. His satellite phone showed no signal. The storm was blocking communication. He was truly alone. Just need to wait it out, Juwon muttered to himself, warming his hands near the heater. The storm would pass in a day or two, and then the rescue team would come. He had enough supplies to last a week if necessary. 3 hours later, as Juwon dozed fitfully in his sleeping bag, a strange sound jolted him awake. Something scraped against the outside of the igloo. He froze, listening intently. Not the wind. Something solid, deliberate. "Hello," he called, reaching for his ice axe. No human should be out in this storm. Polar bears rarely approach the station, but in these conditions, a desperate animal might seek shelter. The scraping continued, more urgently now. Then, without warning, part of the igloo's entrance collapsed inward. Juwon raised his axe, heart pounding, as a figure tumbled through the opening. It wasn't human. The creature sprawled on the igloo floor was humanoid but clearly alien. Its skin glowed a soft blue, with delicate patterns that shifted like northern lights. Where a human would have hair, this being had crystalline structures that resembled ice formations. Most striking were its eyes, large, luminous, and the color of glacial ice. The alien's body trembled violently. Its skin, which seemed to be partially transparent, had a layer of frost forming on its surface. It looked at Juwon with those haunting eyes, and he felt something brush against his mind. Help. Cold. Dying. The words weren't spoken aloud. Somehow, Juwon heard them in his thoughts. He lowered his axe slowly, staring in disbelief. "What are you?" he whispered. The alien reached toward him with a shaking hand. Its fingers were long and elegant, with joints that bent in unusual ways. Warmth. Need warmth. Jiwon hesitated only briefly before making his decision. Whatever this being was, it was suffering. He quickly repaired the igloo entrance, then turned his attention to the alien. Its body temperature seemed dangerously low, so cold that frost was forming on the floor beneath it. "Okay, let's get you warm," he said, not sure if the creature understood spoken language. He grabbed his emergency thermal blankets and wrapped them around the alien's slender form. The being shivered more violently as warmth began to reach it. Thank you. Human. Jawan moved the heater closer. "Can you understand me?" he asked. The alien's eyes blinked slowly. Keys. "Your thoughts. Clear asterisk. You're reading my mind. Connecting. Not. Invasive. Sorry if. Frightening asterisk. It's okay," Juwon said, surprising himself with how quickly he accepted this impossible situation. "What happened to you? Where did you come from?" The alien's crystalline structures flickered with weak light. Ship. Crashed. Storm interfered with. Navigation systems. Others. Gone asterisk. There are more of you. Dead. Only I. Escaped pod asterisk. Juwon felt a wave of sadness that wasn't his own emotion. The alien was projecting its feelings along with its thoughts. "I'm sorry," he said genuinely. My name is Juwon. Dr. Juwon Kim. I'm a climate researcher. Asterisk nary asterisk came the response. Asterisk scout. Explore. Asterisk. As the alien warmed, its skin began to glow more brightly. The frost melted away, revealing intricate patterns that seemed to shift and pulse with life. Juwon realized with a start that the being was female, or at least presented as such in a way his human mind could comprehend. You're not from Earth, he said. It wasn't a question. Asterisk no. Far system. Many light years, asterisk. Why Earth? Why here? Neri's eyes closed briefly. Asterisk research. Like you. Study ice worlds. My people need cold. But not this cold, asterisk. Juwon offered her water from his canteen. She accepted gratefully, though she drank in a strange way, seeming to absorb the liquid through her skin rather than consuming it. Will your people come looking for you? He asked. Asterisk no. Too far. Mission. Secret, asterisk. Secret. Why? Neri's expression changed, showing what Juwon interpreted as fear. Asterisk hunted. My species, hunted by others. Hide. Explore quietly, asterisk. Before Juwon could ask more questions, a strange noise came from outside. Not the wind, but a high-pitched whine that made his teeth ache. Neri's body went rigid. Asterisk, they found me. Asterisk, her mental voice was filled with terror. Asterisk, the hunters tracked my ship, asterisk. What? Who's out there? Juwon moved toward the Igloo entrance, but Neri grabbed his arm with surprising strength. Asterisk no. They kill you instantly. Human warmth attracts them, asterisk. The whining sound intensified, and something heavy landed on the top of the igloo, causing snow to sift down from the ceiling. Juwon stared up in horror as a dark shape began pressing against the packed snow. Asterisk please. Asterisk Neri's mental voice was desperate. Asterisk need your help. Need human warmth. And more. Need your knowledge of this world to survive, asterisk. The ceiling of the igloo began to crack. Asterisk trust me. Asterisk, she pleaded, her eyes glowing brighter as she extended her hand toward him. Asterisk together, we might live, asterisk. Juwon looked at her alien hand, then at the cracking ceiling. He made his choice and reached out to her. The moment Juwon's hand touched Neri's, a rush of images flooded his mind. Vast crystal cities floating in space, ships that moved between stars, strange beings with bodies that shimmered like northern lights, and behind them all, dark shapes pursuing, destroying, consuming. What was that? Juwon gasped, pulling his hand away. Asterisk connection, stronger with touch, asterisk Neri explained. Asterisk sorry. My emotions. Overwhelming, asterisk. The ceiling cracked further. Whatever was up there began to scrape against the snow, methodically searching for an entrance. Neri pointed to the far side of the igloo. Asterisk dig. Quickly. Underground passage, asterisk. Juwon grabbed his small shovel and began digging through the packed snow floor. To his surprise, it gave way easily, revealing a narrow tunnel that hadn't been there before. He looked at Neri in confusion. Asterisk I prepared while you slept, asterisk her thoughts explained. Asterisk sensed them coming, asterisk. The thing above them let out a screech that made Juwon's ears ring. Without hesitation, he grabbed his emergency pack and the small heater. Let's go, he whispered, helping Neri into the tunnel. Her body was warmer now, but still unnaturally cool to the touch. They crawled forward as quietly as possible, the sound of destruction behind them as something tore through the igloo. The tunnel extended about 20 meters before opening into a small chamber Neri had somehow hollowed out beneath the ice. It was just large enough for the two of them to sit up. Juwon turned on his small flashlight. What are those things? He asked, keeping his voice low. Neri's crystalline features caught the light, refracting it in beautiful patterns. Asterisk the rook. Predators. Hunt my kind for our energy, crystals, asterisk. She touched her chest, where Juan could now see a faint glow beneath her translucent skin. Asterisk, this is what they want. Our life source, asterisk. Like your heart. Asterisk, similar, but more. Contains knowledge, memories, power, asterisk. They sat silently for several minutes, listening. The sounds above had stopped. Either the hunter had given up or was waiting, listening just as they were. How did you make this tunnel so quickly? Juan asked. Nari held up her hand, and Juan watched in amazement as frost formed around her fingertips. Asterisk can manipulate ice, natural ability of my people. The lith, asterisk. The lith, Juan repeated. And you said you're a scout? Asterisk, yes. Study habitable worlds. Earth perfect for us. Cold regions, but not too cold, asterisk. Is that why you came to my igloo? Because you were freezing. Nari's expression changed to something like embarrassment. Asterisk, me ship's protection systems failed. Earth's Arctic, colder than expected. My body began to crystallize. Asterisk, she looked at him with her luminous eyes. Asterisk would have died without your warmth, asterisk. Juan nodded slowly, still trying to process everything. But how did you find me specifically? This research station is extremely remote. Asterisk detected technology signals. Followed to source. Lucky to find you, asterisk. The small heater in their snow chamber kept the space just warm enough to be bearable. Juan offered Nari some of his emergency rations, but she declined, explaining that her species absorbed energy differently. Asterisk need thermal energy primarily, asterisk, she explained. Asterisk and occasionally. Bioelectrical energy, asterisk. What does that mean? Nari hesitated. Asterisk, from living beings. Like, your nervous system generates electricity, can share small amounts without harm, asterisk. Juan shifted uncomfortably. You need to take energy from me. Asterisk, no, asterisk. Her mental voice was alarmed. Asterisk, never take without permission. Can survive on thermal energy alone. Just. Weaker, asterisk. Juan relaxed slightly. Above them, they heard the crunching of snow as something heavy moved across the surface. It's still out there, Juan whispered. What do we do? Asterisk, wait. Be quiet. Rook cannot detect us well underground. Temperature too stable, asterisk. As they sat in silence, Nari began to tremble again. Despite the heater, she seemed to be growing colder. Are you okay? Juan asked. Asterisk, healing process requires more energy than expected, asterisk, she admitted. Asterisk, injuries from crash worse than thought, asterisk. Now that Juan looked more carefully, he could see cracks in her crystalline structures, like fissures in ice. They glowed faintly, seemingly in the process of repairing themselves. What can I do to help? He asked. Asterisk, nothing. We'll adapt, asterisk. But her mental voice was growing weaker. Juan moved closer to her, hesitantly placing his arm around her shoulders. Her body tensed at first, then relaxed against him. Asterisk, thank you, asterisk, she communicated. Asterisk, human warmth. Different. Stronger than our energy sources, asterisk. You said your people need cold, but not too cold, Juan said. How does that work? Asterisk, we exist. Between states. Need cold to maintain physical form, but also need warmth cycles to prevent crystallization. Asterisk, her mental voice grew stronger as she absorbed his body heat. Asterisk, in our world natural cycle of warm and cold. Here, too extreme, in poles, asterisk. They talked for hours as they waited. Nari explained her mission, to find new worlds where her people might settle. The Lith homeworld was dying, its natural temperature cycles destabilized by a cosmic event. And always, the Rook followed, hunting them across the stars. In return, Juan told her about Earth, about human civilization, about his own work studying climate patterns. Nari seemed fascinated by humanity's adaptability to different environments. Asterisk your species. Remarkable asterisk, she communicated. Asterisk can live anywhere. Hot, cold, wet, dry asterisk. Not without technology, Juan pointed out. Without my gear, I'd freeze to death out here, just like you nearly did. Asterisk, but you imagine solutions. Create tools. We, more limited, need specific conditions asterisk. As night fell outside, the temperature dropped further. Their small chamber grew colder despite the heater. Neri seemed more comfortable, but now Juan began to shiver. Asterisk your turn to need warmth, asterisk Neri observed. To Juan's surprise, her skin began to glow more brightly, radiating a gentle heat. How are you doing that? He asked through chattering teeth. Asterisk converting stored energy. Inefficient, but you helped me. I help you asterisk. As they huddled together for warmth, Juwan's scientific mind raced with questions. An alien species that could manipulate cold, communicate telepathically, and convert energy. It was beyond anything he had imagined possible. Tomorrow, he said quietly, we need to reach my research station. There's equipment there we can use to communicate with the outside world. Asterisk, and the Rook? Asterisk. We'll figure something out. Together. Neri's mental voice carried a new emotion. Hope. Asterisk together. Asterisk. Above them, snow crunched as the hunter continued its search in the endless Arctic night. Morning came with eerie silence. Juwan checked his watch. 6:30 a.m. He'd slept fitfully during the night, constantly aware of Neri's cool body beside him and the potential threat above. The alien had remained awake, her luminous eyes watching the ceiling of their small chamber. Do you think it's gone? Juwan whispered. Neri tilted her head, listening. Asterisk perhaps. Rook hunters do not like daylight. Too much heat radiation asterisk. They cautiously expanded their tunnel, creating a small opening to the surface. Juwan peered out. The blizzard had passed, leaving behind a stark white landscape glittering under the Arctic sun. No sign of the creature. I think it's safe, he said. We need to reach the research station. It's about 2 kilometers from here. They emerged from their hiding place. Juwan gasped when he saw what remained of his igloo. It had been torn apart. Huge chunks of snow and ice scattered across the ground. Deep gouges marked the area, as if something with massive claws had dug frantically for prey. Asterisk, it was searching for me, asterisk, Neri communicated. Her crystalline features caught the sunlight, sending rainbow reflections across the snow. Asterisk, the Rook can sense our energy signatures, asterisk. Then we need to move quickly, Juwan said, checking his compass. This way. They trudged through the deep snow, Juwan breaking trail while Neri followed in his footsteps. The alien moved with surprising grace despite her injuries. In the daylight, Juwan could better see the details of her appearance. Her skin was indeed transparent in places, revealing a complex network of crystalline structures beneath that pulsed with soft blue light. Your ship, Juwan said as they walked. Where did it crash? Asterisk, not far. 5 kilometers north. But dangerous to go there asterisk. Why? Asterisk, distress beacon still active. We'll draw more Rook asterisk. Juwan stopped walking. Wait, you're saying more of those things might come here. To Earth. Neri's expression was solemn. Asteriskes. Standard hunting protocol. 1 scout follows crashed ship. Reports back. Then hunting pack arrives asterisk. How many in a hunting pack? Asterisk, dozens, perhaps hundreds asterisk. The implications hit Juwan like a physical blow. One of those creatures had nearly killed them both. Hundreds would be catastrophic. We need to warn people, he said urgently. My research station has communication equipment. They picked up their pace. As they crested a small ridge, the research facility came into view. A cluster of prefabricated buildings nestled against the white landscape. No signs of damage, which was a relief. Asterisk, your people built this asterisk, Neri asked, her mental voice curious. Yes, It's for studying climate patterns, ice formations, weather systems. There's usually a team of 8 researchers, but everyone evacuated before the storm. Except me. Asterisk, why did you stay? Asterisk. Jiwan hesitated. I was tracking an anomaly in the ice. Temperature fluctuations that didn't match any known pattern. I thought it might be important. They reached the main building. Jiwan entered his access code, and the door unlocked with a satisfying click. Inside, emergency lights cast a dim glow throughout the facility. The power was still out, but the backup systems were functioning. We need to get the generator running, Jiwan explained, heading toward the utility room. Then we can use the radio to contact the mainland. Asterisk Jiwan. Asterisk Nari's mental voice was suddenly tense. Asterisk something else is here. Asterisk. He froze. The Rook. Asterisk no. Different, but not human. Asterisk. They stood perfectly still, listening. A soft humming sound came from the laboratory section of the facility. Jiwan recognized it. It was his equipment, the specialized sensors he had been using to track the ice anomalies. But they shouldn't be running without main power. Stay here, he whispered to Nari. Asterisk no. Too dangerous alone. Asterisk. Together, they crept toward the lab. The door was ajar, spilling blue light into the hallway. Jiwan peered inside and gasped. A device sat on his workbench, definitely not human technology. It was about the size of a basketball, with intricate geometric patterns etched across its surface. It glowed with the same blue light that pulsed beneath Nari's skin. Asterisk Lith technology. Asterisk, she communicated, her mental voice filled with surprise. Asterisk a beacon amplifier. Asterisk. What's it doing here? Asterisk someone placed it. Recently. Asterisk. The implications dawned on Jiwan slowly. You're not the first of your kind to come to Earth. Nari moved to the device, her fingers tracing its patterns. Asterisk no. This is older model. From previous expedition. Asterisk, her eyes widened suddenly. Asterisk, it's actively broadcasting. Strong signal. Across solar system. Asterisk. Broadcasting what? Asterisk location data. Resource information. Asterisk, her mental voice became alarmed. Asterisk, it's calling more than just scouts. It's... Oh no. Asterisk. What? Tell me. Asterisk, it's calling colonization fleet. Asterisk, her eyes met his, filled with horror. Asterisk, Somyeong wants your world prepared for Lith settlement. Asterisk. Jiwan struggled to process this. But you said your ship crashed. That you're a scout. Asterisk, I am. But not first. Others came before. Asterisk. She touched the device again, reading its data. Asterisk, years ago. This beacon has been transmitting Earth data for 3 of your years. Asterisk. The room suddenly felt very cold. Are you saying your people are planning to invade Earth? Asterisk, not invade. Settle. Colonize. Asterisk, Nari's thoughts were troubled. Asterisk, but only habitable worlds with no intelligent life. That is our law. Someone violated protocol. Earth should have been marked as inhabited, protected. Asterisk. Jiwan moved to his computer station, activating the emergency power. Those temperature anomalies I was tracking. Was that? Asterisk, yes. Preparation. Terraforming test sites. Changing temperature patterns to be more suitable for Lith physiology. Asterisk. The terminal came to life, showing Jiwan's research data. The anomalies formed a pattern across the Arctic region, systematic cooling in some areas, warming in others, creating the temperature cycles the Lith needed. How many of your people are already here? He asked quietly. Asterisk, don't know. But beacon suggests preparation team. Small group. Asterisk. A new sound interrupted them. The emergency radio crackled to life. Arctic Station 7. This is rescue team. Do you copy? Dr. Kim, are you there? Jiwan hesitated, looking at Nari. This was bigger than just them now. Earth was facing 2 threats, the Rook hunters following Nari, and an apparent covert colonization effort by her own people. Tell them. Nari communicated. Your people need to know. I will help. Why would you help us against your own kind? Juwan asked. Nari's expression was resolute. Because whoever did this broke our most sacred law. And now they've brought the Rook to your world too. Your people will suffer for their actions. She touched the beacon device, manipulating its controls. E can redirect the signal. Bias time. Juwan picked up the radio handset. This is Dr. Kim at Arctic Station 7. We have an emergency situation. And I'm not alone. Outside, in the distance, a new light appeared in the sky, descending rapidly toward Earth. The horizon burned with unnatural lights as the Rook hunting ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. From the command center established at the research station, Juwan watched the satellite feed with a mixture of awe and terror. His injured arm was bandaged and healing, though the doctor said the unusual claw marks might leave permanent scars. How many? He asked Nari, who stood beside him analyzing data from the recovered ship crystal. 27 hunters. She replied, her mental voice grim. Larger than standard hunting party. They'd really want me. And the terraformers. Colonel Lee entered the room, his face tense but determined. Global defense forces are ready. We've deployed the thermal technology to all strategic locations based on your specifications. It had been 3 days since their mission to the crashed ship. 3 days of frantic preparation as military units from around the world mobilized with newly created weapons based on lathe technology. Weapons designed to create the rapid temperature fluctuations that could harm the Rook. What about the other lathe? Dr. Song asked. Any response to your message? Nari shook her crystalline head. Not yet. Signal takes time to reach authority. But I located 3 terraforming sites with hidden lathe outposts. The largest screen showed a map with blinking points in Antarctica, Greenland, and the Himalayan mountains, all places with ideal cold conditions for lathe survival. Special Forces teams are approaching all 3 locations now, Colonel Lee confirmed. But our primary concern is the Rook landing site. The hunting ship had chosen to land in northern Canada, less than 500 kilometers from their position. Already, reports were coming in of strange black shapes moving across the tundra at incredible speed. They're heading straight for us, Juno observed. They know we have what they want. Yes. Nari agreed. They sense my energy and the ship crystal, both valuable prizes. Juwan studied the tactical display. Then we use that. We make ourselves the bait. All eyes turned to him. We know they're coming here, he continued. Instead of spreading our forces thin, we concentrate them and set a trap. Use their hunting instinct against them. Colonel Lee considered this, a deliberate engagement on our terms rather than theirs. It could work. Nari placed her hand gently on Juwan's uninjured arm. Dangerous. Rook are not easily tricked. But they are predictable. Juwan countered. You said so yourself. They follow heat and energy signatures in predictable patterns. The plan came together quickly. The research station would be equipped with powerful thermal emitters that could create rapid temperature zones, lethal to the Rook but harmless to humans. Nari would use her natural abilities to create a concentrated energy signature that would be irresistible to the hunters. As night fell, they took their positions. Juwan refused to evacuate with the non-essential personnel. I'm staying, he told Nari as they prepared the final components. This began with us. It should end with us. You humans. She communicated with a mixture of exasperation and admiration. So determined. It's what we do, he replied simply. We adapt. We survive. The first alarm sounded just after midnight, Thermal sensors detected multiple approaching objects moving at high speed across the ice. "They're coming from all directions," reported a technician. 20-plus signatures. Colonel Lee nodded grimly. "Just as we expected. Spring the trap on my mark." Juwon joined Nari in the central chamber where she had connected herself to modified equipment. Her crystalline body glowed brighter than he'd ever seen, purposely enhancing her energy output to attract the Rook. "Asterisk can feel them." Asterisk, she communicated, her mental voice strained. Asterisk very hungry. Very angry asterisk. The building shuddered as the first Rook reached them, its massive claws tearing at the reinforced walls. Others joined it, surrounding the facility in a ring of nightmarish shapes visible on the security monitors. "Almost there," Colonel Lee whispered into his communication device. "Let them commit fully." More and more Rook converged on the station, abandoning their search patterns to focus on the powerful energy source they sensed inside. Just as Juwon had predicted, their hunting instinct overrode their caution. "Now," shouted Colonel Lee. The trap activated. Powerful thermal emitters hidden in the snow around the facility fired simultaneously, creating zones of extreme heat that rapidly shifted to extreme cold. The effect on the Rook was immediate and devastating. Their obsidian bodies cracked and shattered as they were caught in the temperature fluctuations. But not all were destroyed. The largest Rook, clearly the pack leader, broke through the outer wall and into the facility. Alarms blared as emergency protocols activated. "It's heading for the central chamber." Juno shouted over the communication system, directly toward Nari's position. Juwon grabbed the lithe temperature weapon and ran toward the chamber. He arrived just as the massive Rook tore through the door. It was enormous, nearly twice the size of the scout they had encountered earlier, with multiple sensing organs that pulsed with hungry light. Nari was still connected to the equipment, unable to disconnect safely while channeling so much energy. She was completely vulnerable. Juwon fired the weapon, hitting the Rook squarely. It screeched but continued forward, its focus entirely on Nari and the powerful energy she emitted. The weapon needed to recharge between shots, leaving Juwon defenseless for crucial seconds. The Rook sensed his presence and swung one massive limb toward him. Juwon dodged, but the creature was incredibly fast. Its claws caught his leg, sending him crashing to the floor. The weapon slid away across the room. As the Rook turned back toward Nari, Juwon dragged himself toward the main control panel. There was one option left, one desperate measure they had prepared as a last resort. "Nari," he shouted. "Protocol 7. Her eyes widened as she understood his intention. Asterisk no. Too dangerous for you, asterisk. Do it," he commanded, reaching the control panel and entering his authorization code. Nari's body began to glow even brighter, channeling energy in a new pattern. The room's temperature plummeted instantly as she drew all heat into herself. The equipment around her frosted over in seconds. Juwon felt the cold bite into his skin, far more intense than even the Arctic blizzard. The Rook hesitated, its sensing organs confused by the sudden cold. Then, with a burst of concentrated energy, Nari released all the accumulated heat at once, directly at the creature. The temperature change was so extreme and so sudden that the Rook had no chance to adapt. Its body froze, then superheated, then froze again in rapid succession. With a sound like shattering glass, the mighty hunter broke apart into countless obsidian shards. Juwon collapsed, his body dangerously cold from the procedure. Nari disconnected from the equipment and rushed to his side. Asterisk Juwon. "Stay awake, asterisk." Her mental voice was frantic as she cradled his head. Asterisk help is calming asterisk. "Did it work?" he asked through chattering teeth. "The others?" Asterisk yes. "Most destroyed. Few escaped asterisk." Colonel Lee's voice came over the intercom. "Central Command, we have confirmation. 80% of Rook hunters neutralized. Remaining hostiles retreating to their ship." Juwon smiled weakly. "Told you it would work." Medical personnel rushed in, wrapping him in thermal blankets. As they prepared to move him, an alarm sounded on one of the consoles. "What is it?" Juan asked. Neri moved to check the alert, her crystalline features displaying surprise. Asterisk message from Lith High Command. They receive my report asterisk. And asterisk colonization fleet recalled. Terraforming operation officially condemned. Those responsible to be held accountable asterisk. The room erupted in cheers from the personnel. As the medics lifted Juan onto a stretcher, he reached out to take Nari's cool hand. "What about you?" he asked. "Will you go back with them?" She looked around at the humans who had fought alongside her, then back to Juan. Asterisk request to stay as official ambassador. Learn more about humans asterisk. 3 months later, in a special United Nations session, Neri stood before representatives of Earth's nations. Her crystalline form glittered under the lights as she formally established the first diplomatic relations between humans and the Lith. In the audience, Dr. Juan Kim watched with pride. His scars had healed, though they still glowed faintly blue in the dark, a side effect of rook venom that the doctors couldn't explain. As Neri concluded her address, she looked directly at him and added one final thought that only he could hear. Asterisk humans are remarkable. Where Lith see only cold or warm, you see possibilities. Where rook see only prey, you see allies. Perhaps that is your greatest strength. You adapt not just to survive, but to thrive. And now, together, so shall we asterisk. The assembly erupted in applause as the historic treaty was signed. A new chapter for both species had begun.